Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahawah, Bahashem, Yahawashi, Bahashem, Rakakwadash. Double honor to the apostles and the elder bishops of Great Millstone who rule well. Peace and salutations to the elect scattered throughout the four corners of the earth. To the men on the highways and the byways that are pushing out this word in truth and sincerity. And to the remnant men, women, and children of the elect, to you all, I say Shalom. My name is Ahmawan, Ahyash. And I'm back with another lesson through the power and spread of Yahawashi, Yahawashi. And Lord willing, this is edifying. I wanted to do a lesson, the verse of the day. A very simple verse, but it's one that I've always been a big fan of this verse. I mean, it's always been one of my favorite verses, because, you know, in the position that we're in as hopeful members of the elect, we've spent the majority of our lifetimes, obviously not understanding the scriptures, not understanding, the message behind the Bible, and, coming into this light, coming into this truth. Those questions about, what the position that we're in as so-called blacks, Latinos, and Native Americans here in Babylon the Great, not really understanding what has ever happened to us and why we was in the position, why would God let this happen to us? The same questions that a lot of our people have today, and never come to being able to come to the truth, never being able to get the understanding of these things, and knowing that we are in a position of servitude, and we've suffered slavery and different forms of genocide and oppression and all these different things. Knowing that the meek shall inherit the earth has always been something that was comforting to me, and I've always had just appreciation for, a lot of appreciation for. So this verse in particular was always special to me, and with the understanding, it makes it even that much more special, man, because, man, a lot of our people can't see the out. All right, when I say the out, I mean they can't see the vision of being inheriting the earth. The majority, 2/3 of our people can't see being in a position of rulership, or the tables being turned, so to speak, right? Because you have the so-called white man who's at the top right now, who's ruling, and Jake can't really see us on top. They can't see inheriting the earth. They can't see anything other than what they're experiencing at the moment, but again, that is because the Lord has blinded them, right? And there's no other explanation for that, so I just wanted to jump into this. I have some precepts lined up. I'm actually going to go through this verse, but I'm going to actually start at verse 3. So let me just read this here. Verse of the day on the Holy Bible app says, Matthew 5:5 in the KJV, blessed are the meek, for they shall inherit the earth. So what I want to do really quick is I just want to go pull it up, but I want to actually bring some precepts out and start with verse 3. All right. It says, blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. All right. Because when we're talking about the meek, we're also talking about the poor in spirit. All right. Over to the right, where it says in the NLT, it says God blesses those who are poor and realize their need for him. Okay. God blesses those who are poor and recognize and realize their need for him. Okay. Now, that's really the elect. That's really the elect. Right now, at the top, the caption, it says Beatitudes. All right, and that represents, the elect as well, those who are blessed. All right, to be able to receive this calling and receive this truth. It says, it says, God blesses those who are poor and realize their need for him, for the kingdom of heaven is theirs. Okay. So blessed are those who are poor in the spirit, man, because we spent a great deal of time, under the influence of Esau, Edom, under the influence of Babylon the Great, without any understanding, without any truth. And the way the Lord has lifted us up, that's a blessing within itself, to be able to receive this calling, receive the truth, receive the faith. That's an absolute blessing within itself. It represents the Lord's mercy for us, all right, his love for us. It's and that's why it says, blessed are the poor in spirit, because we are blessed to receive this calling. Verse 4 says, blessed are they that mourn, for they shall be comforted. Right? Blessed are they that mourn, for they shall be comforted. All right. And the scriptures say in Ezekiel 9 about those who sigh and cry for the abominations done in the midst thereof. All right. We're mourning because of the position that we're in. We're mourning because of our rebellion, understanding that we rebelled against Yahweh by Shem Yahawashi, and we are experiencing the Lord's wrath because of it. All right. But at the same time, we're also witnessing the Lord's mercy. Okay. That's why it says, for they shall be comforted. Okay. Blessed are they that mourn. We're mourning because we have the so-called white man, Esau, Edom, the devil, ruling over us in captivity under his thumb. We're mourning because of these bodies that we're in. We're mourning because how we're afflicted in the spirit. Okay. But the elect is going to be comforted, man. It's going to be comforted. I wanted to go back up to verse 3 because I had a precept. It says, blessed are they that are poor in the spirit, because the kingdom, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Let me go to James. Let me get this in. It's a lock here for backtracking, but I didn't want to not bring this precept out. This is the book of James, chapter 2, in verse 5. Okay, so remember, Matthew 5:3 says, blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. James 2:5 says, hearken, my beloved brethren, have not the Most High chosen the poor of this world, rich in faith, and heirs to the kingdom, and heirs of the kingdom which he hath promised to them that love him? Okay, so the Lord has promised, has promised the kingdom of heaven to the poor of this world, what are rich in faith. Okay, we don't have anything here in Babylon the Great. All that we have is our faith. That's why we're rich in faith. We don't have a belief in this world. We're not of this world. Okay, as Yahawashi said, we're not of this world. This world can't offer us anything. It's nothing but evil and wickedness and destruction round about. Okay, so we're looking towards the kingdom of heaven. It says, in heirs of the kingdom which he hath promised to them that love him. And we love Yahweh by Shem Yahawashi because we are doing our best to turn back and be obedient. We're doing our best to turn back and fulfill our part when it comes to the will of the Lord. Just doing our part, being vessels to for the will of the Lord to be done. All right, and that's all we can do. Right, verse 6 says, but ye have despised the poor, do not rich men oppress you, and draw you before the judgment seats. All right, so we've been under the thumb and oppressed by the so-called white man for a very long time. All right, so again, verse 4 says, Matthew 5:4, blessed are they that mourn, for they shall be comforted. All right, we'll go back to the book of James for a precept on that. All right, James 4:9 says, be afflicted and mourn and weep, let your laughter be turned to mourning and your joy to heaviness. Okay, humble yourselves in the sight of the Lord, and he shall lift you up. Okay, is that the precept I wanted? Is that the precept I wanted? Give me 1 second. Not sure if that's the precept that I wanted. That's fine. That's fine. We'll move on to verse 5. Matthew 5 and 5. Blessed are the meek, for they shall inherit the earth. And this is what the actual verse of the day was. Blessed are they for they shall, and are the meek, for they shall inherit the earth. When you go to Psalms, this is the book of Psalms, chapter 37 and 11. And it reads, but the meek shall inherit the earth, and shall delight themselves in the abundance of peace. And man, oh man, this is what we are looking for. This is what we are calling for. We are calling for peace, for rest, for comfort. Okay, the hope, the kingdom of heaven. For rulership. Okay, for righteousness, for the new covenant to be established, so where we can be one with Yahawashi. All right. But the meek shall inherit the earth, and shall delight themselves in the abundance of peace. That's why the scriptures say this is not our rest. Okay, this is not set up or meant for us to be, have peace here in Babylon the Great. Okay, this ain't our rest. This is not our peace. That comes later. Okay, when the earth will be handed over and translated, the kingdom will be translated from one people to another. Because when you inherit the earth, you inherit everything that comes along with it. The rulership, the power. You have the nation subject to you. Okay? And this is the last rulership that's going to happen before Yahawashi's kingdom. Before Yahawashi and Israel, the elect of Israel, rules. Okay? So that's when we're going to see peace. All right? And that's how you know these scriptures, the prophecies haven't been fulfilled, because all the prophecies haven't been fulfilled, because what the abundance of peace isn't happening now. It's an abundance of the exact opposite. Okay, which is war. The opposite of peace is war. Okay, and we're seeing the wars and the rumors of wars, and we're seeing all that's happening here in Babylon the Great. And we're sighing and crying, and we're praying to the Lord that he delivers us from the judgments that are coming. Because believe you me, these judgments are coming. There's nothing that's going to stop the will of the Lord. There's nothing that's going to stop the judgments that are coming, the prophecies. And Yahawashi, we get to be delivered from it. That's really what, amen. This is what we're fighting for. We're fighting for our position in the kingdom. We're fighting for salvation to be delivered. And that's the whole plan, man. That's the goal. That's the goal, man. For us, hope from him as the elect. Lord willing, we get to endure. We get to endure. Matthew 5 and 6. Blessed are they which do hunger and thirst after righteousness, for they shall be filled. Okay, and that goes to the point that I was just making, man. Blessed are they which do hunger and thirst after righteousness, for they shall be filled. Our spirits are calling for the righteousness of Yahawashi. It's thirsting for it, because we've suffered so much evil and wickedness, man. We've done enough. Our spirits are calling for the next thing, man. All right. Blessed are they which do hunger and thirst after righteousness, because we've already experienced all the evil and wickedness here in Babylon the Great, and the Lord put the spirit on us to know and understand that this ain't it, man. There's got to be more. Okay, and we know there is. All right, we know there's a kingdom in heaven. We know there's righteousness to be established, and we know that a righteous rulership is near. Okay, for they shall be filled. A quick precept to that is Isaiah 41 and 17, which reads, when the poor and needy seek water, there is none. When the poor and needy seek water, and there is none, and their tongue faileth for thirst, I, the Lord Yahawashi, will hear them. I, the power of Israel, will not forsake them. Okay, let me read that again. When the poor and needy seek water, and there is none, and their tongue faileth for thirst, I, the Lord Yahawashi, will hear them. I, the power of Israel, will not forsake them. And that's what we're banking on. Our faith is in that. Our faith is in, the Lord, pouring that water on us, okay, so that we can be heard, okay, so we can amend our ways and be heard by Yahawashi in the time of trouble, because that's what this is coming in. At this point, that's what it's all about for us, hopeful members of the elect. It's about the time of trouble that's upon this place, upon Jacob, upon 2/3 of Israel, okay, in the time known as Jacob's trouble, and to the rest of the world, because the hour of temptation is upon us, the MOTB, all right, World War III, missiles, nuclear war, and World War III is upon this world, okay, and we're going to need the Lord to be with us and to hear us and to not forsake us, all right. That's the only thing that we have left. That's the only thing we have to bank on. Right, it's our everything. All our chips have been pushed to the middle of the table, and our faith is in Yahawah. We're not leaving this up to nothing else. All right, that's why you see brothers going so hard, man, because we want the Lord not to forsake us, and we want the Lord to hear us. Okay. All right. This is Matthew 5 and 8. I'm gonna leave it there. Actually, verse 7. Blessed are the merciful, for they shall obtain mercy. Blessed are the merciful, for they shall obtain mercy. Okay. And a quick precept to that is the book of Hebrews, chapter 4 and verse 16. And it reads down here at the bottom, it says, highlight it, let us therefore come boldly to the throne of grace, that we may obtain mercy and find grace to help in the time of need. And to me, that's extremely key, man. Find grace to help in the time of need. And our time of need is not only here right now upon us, but it's going to be much more needed in the time of troubles. Scriptures say perilous times are upon us. Okay, at the end of all things are at hand. Okay, and with that comes a heavy amount of judgment. All right, and we're going to need the Lord's grace, mercy, forgiveness, patience in order to get through the times that are coming. All right, there's no escape from what's coming except by Yahawashi. All right, and I want to make that clear, and that's the message that we have for the hopeful elect. All right, the message that we have is there is no way out of the tribulation that's coming except by Yahawashi. All right, you don't have an out. Not only that, the first thing is identifying the times that we're in and understanding that there's going to be a time that there's a divine intervention that's going to need to take place. Esau, Edom shall come down, the devil shall come down with great wrath, as the scriptures say. All right, and if that great wrath represents, him utilizing his power of this beast system, okay, to come down upon, namely, the nation of Israel, okay, because this is a spiritual thing, right? This is a spiritual thing, and Esau don't have his birthright. All right, he sold his birthright, and he's vexed about it, and now he's in a position where he's trying to receive or create some pseudo salvation or pseudo form of immortality, and it's not going to happen. All right, so we're going to need an abundant amount of the Lord's grace, mercy, forgiveness, and patience, because the time of need, the time of salvation, the time of the Lord's covering is upon us. We're going to need it, man, desperately. Okay, so blessed are they who are merciful, so that they shall receive mercy. What does it say? It says Matthew 5 and 8, 5 and 7. Blessed are the merciful, for they shall obtain mercy. Okay, and we're going to need the Lord's mercy in these days. So with that, I'm going to leave it there. I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahawah, Bahashem, Yahawashi, Bahashem, Makakwadash. Double honor to the apostles and the elders, the elder bishops, the great millstone, who well, peace and salutations to the elect. Shalom.